When it's easy, do more.
What is up, everybody? We are back at it again with another video. It's called Don't Slow Down When It Gets Easy by Alex Hormozi. So let's always continue and let's reflect on what the fuck he is saying. When it is easy, do more.
When it's hard, do different. And so I told it.
When it's easy, do more. When it's hard, do different. Without being different. Without being the exception. I gotta move this. Without being the exception, you may never know what this so-called exceptional person will be. Which means, as always, if you want to be one of an exception, you must first be the exceptional one. And knowing that I'm trying to be one of an exception, I'm trying to be one person that just posts to post, not just because I want to get mainstream, but just because I want to make more content, which means the more leverage I post, the better outcome I have to making more viral clips. So when it is easy, do the same. Like this, I find this extremely easy. I could do this for the rest of my life if I really wanted to, which is what I'm going to do for the next 6 months, is post as much content as possible. So mainly I can get more mainstream, and mainly I can make money in my school. Because I would love to make this a full-time job. I would love to. But the only difficult is being in the weeds. And this is right now, I am in the thick of the weeds. Which means when it is difficult, do different. And when it is easy, do the same thing. I find this extremely easy. I find this extremely soothing and extremely well done. Because without my voice will be nowhere. So let's continue.
4 years ago, and I'll tell you guys again. So when Gym Launch just barely started to work, all right, so I'm like 3 months into Gym Launch working. Guess what brilliant Alex thought he should do? So I went to this meetup of 10 entrepreneurs. All the entrepreneurs were 8-figure entrepreneurs, so 10 million plus per year. I was not making that. We were pacing probably $300,000 or $400,000 a month at the time. It was just me, Layla, and I think we had an assistant over kitchen sink, right? So I was making the most money I'd ever made in my life, and probably to this day, because it was the most material change in my life by percentage. When you go from no money to hundreds of thousands a month within 90 days, me looking at bankruptcy attorneys 6 months earlier to that, I can't explain how crazy reality shifted. But I had this guy who came up to me after I gave my little presentation of like, hey, this is what's working. And so of course what I want to do now is start a supplement company. He came up to me and he said, if what you're saying is true, if the economics of the business that you've outlined really do work as well as you say they do, when it gets easy is when you go hard. It's when you double down on what's working. And he said that to me, and I remember.
When you double down on what is working. Oh my, well spoken. That requires a clap for another 5 seconds. When you double down on, let me refresh.
Up to me and he said, if what you're saying is true, if the economics of the business that you've outlined really do work as well as you say they do, when it gets easy is when you go hard. It's when you double down on what's working. And
when you double down on what's working, when it's easy is when you reflect, when you do more. Because for me, I find this extremely easy. I could talk about this one little topic for 5 more minutes if I really wanted to. But I don't like to do that. I like to keep it short and sweet, and I would rather have you guys watch my content for what it is. So, when you double down on what is difficult, when you double down on what is easy, when you post more content just because you want to post it, it will help you become that better version. It will help you become that reflection point. Because without 1, there is no reflection. Without 2, there is no detail. Without 3, there is no identity. So knowing that our identity changes within the shifts of the moments of the life that we are trying to live and curate right now, only we can know where this life will lead us to. Alright, I gotta grab some coffee because I'm starting to fall asleep. So I will be right back, y'all. And y'all, we're only a minute 10 seconds in. Sorry y'all can't see me. We're only a minute 10 seconds in, and we are talking about this for, I think it's been 7 to 8 minutes already. So I will be right back. What is happening, y'all? We are back at it again with another video. And like I said,
And he said,
we are only a minute into this, and I've already been talking about this video for about 16 minutes. So, as always, let's continue.
I remember he said, because what's going to happen is that if it really works this well, someone bigger and badder is going to take all your stuff and immediately try and do it with their...
Someone bigger and badder is going to take your viewers to your content, or even to other people. They are going to do more work. They're going to pull it out of their ass. They're going to do a lot more work than what you think you truly are doing, which is why you need to do the work now, because if not, you will be forgotten within 3 generations, which should give you enough feel of your insecurity, your inefficiency, and just even yourself. Nobody can do what you want to do because you are so afraid of what other people are wanting to do. So as always, let's continue.
Their audience, and their leverage. And so if there's ever been a time to focus on the thing that's in front of you, it's right now. And
to focus on the thing right now. See, now we all have different people within this world. Which means you might never know what this life will lead you to. See, now, the way I look at it is that our lives are so limitless that we can do whatever we want with the time that we have now. Which, of course, there is only one thing that we are truly needing to do, and that is to continue our path, our journey of an exception. Because without the exceptional person or exceptional being, you might never know where this life will lead you to. Let's continue.
Layla and I felt this huge weight of pressure that started us at that point. Because literally, I think I was really content for like 6 weeks. And I was really thrilled. We had just gotten married. We're 6 weeks into being, married. We're making really good money. She's 23 or 24. I'm 26 or 27. So like we're young. I was like, holy cow, this is amazing. Our rent, for context, was $1,200 a month. I was taking home $400, right? Like, and so I've always lived far below my means. At this point, though, we went back home with the devil inside of us in terms of the fear of us losing everything that we had. And so we basically worked around the clock like someone was trying to put us out of business. And the thing is that people did eventually, but by the time they did, we had gone so far ahead that they were way behind us because we were working against a hypothetical enemy who was trying to destroy us, not the ones that were actually mediocre and distracted. When it's easy, do more. Once it starts working,
Once it is easy, do more. The more easy it is, the more content you can post, the more things that you can make. Because it's easy, nobody else will follow. And when nobody else will follow, you can do with what you have now, which is by not wasting time. Because if you waste time, you waste such a little of it, which of course, as Seneca said, when we waste time, we waste such little time. I'd rather be making content online than be playing video games, scrolling on my phone, or even or just make content. I would rather do that instead of do the 2 things that I would rather not do, which is distraction. Distraction is the root of all of our problems. Distraction is the root to all of our issues, which we all know what we are distracted for. Let's continue.
Blinders on and hit the gas. And I would challenge you with this tactical setup. Right now, if you've never worked for 30 days straight, I would encourage you to try it.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna continue on trying, continually on posting. I am going to try to make 5 to 10 videos a day. That is my main end goal. If I can, and I will. I know it's not as a failing as what it seems, but I know it is truly possible and truly perceivable. See, now if I see it, if I see the vision, if I see it in my own eyes, then I know what am I truly trying to do, what am I truly trying to unlock. I'm looking at myself right now because I know my vision, I know my truth, I know my honesty. Because without my honesty, you might never know where this life will lead you to. And as always, be yourself. Because if you're not yourself, other people will beat you at the same game that you are playing. But as always, let's continue.
There's something called the 996, which is basically the standard for Chinese tech work hours, which is you work 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. That's the bar. And so I like to state that because we think we work so hard. That's just the average. And so I would encourage you, remember hard times, hard men, right? Good times. Well, we need to act as though it's hard times, because if you don't, you're surely going to become soft. My challenge for you is work 30 days straight. Work 10, work 12 hours a day, 30 days straight. What?
I'm trying to put 3 hours to 6 hours of time into my content. It'll take time, it'll take energy, but the more volume I produce, the better it is for me to make a video viral or make the algorithm hit. And what I mean by that is I want to make money at my school. I want this and my school to be my main priority, which is what it is. Without this, I am nothing. Without my content, I am nothing. Without the viewer, I am nothing.
You'll realize at the end of this is, one, how much work you can actually do. Two, that you're not going to die. You're not made of glass. And
you're not gonna die, you're not made of glass. See, now the way I look at it is our brains are plastic, pieces of plastic, waiting to be molded into the shape of your being, or shape of your style. See, now, habits are style. Plastic is style. Which means nothing can get better besides with what you're doing now. You're not made of glass, you're made of plastic. Your brain can grow, it can learn, it can change, it can evolve. Knowing this, knowing the pain, knowing the future, that we know what we must have to do with the time that we have left on our planet. We have 4,200 weeks. That's all that we are. That's 80.5 years. That's all that what we are. Which is why if all I am is time, then why do I waste such of it scrolling and playing video games? I would rather make gaming content than do nothing. Which I like to go live on every single night to make a video. Because I love my games. I would rather make more content than what it truly is. Let's continue.
You'll know that you have that gear if the time calls for it. Now, I will be very know that you have that gear if the time calls for it.
You know that you have the gear if the time calls for it. Time is all that what we are. We have the pen to the written story that is ready to be written or ready to be read out to other people. Because our stories are unique. Our stories are for the niche of our own people, which we must know what we must do.
Now, I will be very real with you. I work more now than I have ever worked in my life, save maybe when I opened my very first gym. So I
would rather work harder now so I can have a longer, successful career. See, now for me, I'm going to college for business. Business management. So I can become a manager at a restaurant or at a bar. And I would like to make school. I'm going to continue on posting, because the more videos I post, the better traction I have left to let that traction settle. Because the more traction that waits to hit, it doesn't get anywhere.
in absolute hours more than I ever have. And I produce significantly more than I did then. And this year, I think I've taken something like 10 or 11 days off in 2024. I would measure a day off as any day where I worked probably fewer than 4 hours. I put this as context, and I had a security guard who was here at acquisition.com earlier this year, and he was talking to some of the younger guys on the team. And he said, you should never let Alex work more hours than you because he's already ahead of you. And so if you want to catch up with him, certainly don't let him outwork you. Some of the hoodoo, mental health, whatever people are going to disagree with me.
Oh no, I totally agree with that. Because when you work harder, when you actually produce more volume, your time is not wasted. Your energy is not wasted. If you work harder than him, you will see success a lot more clearly and a lot more smoothly. Which what I mean is that without success is the hate you get along the way. So don't bend the knee to their own conformity of their life. They're living their own life. You're living your own life. Nobody is stopping you from living your own life. The only person that's stopping you is yourself. So don't allow other people to traction other things that you want to do. For me, I'm hoping to become as big as him within 6 months. That's my main end goal. Make it as much money as humanly possible so that in 6 months, I can move down to Florida. Because I need my money. I need my business. And my business is school. My business is my YouTube channel. My business is myself. My face, my business. That's how I look at it. Hormozi's face, Hormozi's business, which is acquisition.com. And he makes however much money he makes. I looked up his net worth and it's $240 million. Anybody can make that money. And he's making it just by helping businesses grow, I think. But let's continue.
Don't give a shit. And so the thing is you can just go and make those mental health people happy, or you can get what the fuck you came here to get. You can do what you came to do.
You can do what you came to do and say what you're going to say. Because nobody gives a flying fuck at the end of it. Nobody cares about what you're truly struggling about or what you're truly needing to know about. Nobody will truly know until you do the things that you are saying you are going to do. Nobody else is going to stop you besides you. So don't allow other people's judgment, other people's criticism, other people's identity based around them. Because if you base it around that, you may never know where this life will lead you to. You may never know where this understanding will bring you to. You may never know what this identity shift will bring you to. You may never know until you truly have those hard conversations, and having those hard conversations will bring you to the point of wherever it desires to be. Let's continue, as always.
I have found that in my life, I've gotten significantly more purpose and more drive from a long day's hard work, from earning my shower at the end of the day, than anything that I've ever had from a pleasure-seeking perspective. As much as it's great to go to the pool for a day and hang out with some people, or maybe just watch movies, as great as that may be, there's nothing that I get more fulfillment out of than knowing that at the end of a day that I work 16 straight hours, that I have some product that I pulled out of my brain and into the world, that this thing got life now. Looking back on the best days of my life, it was those types of days. And so when I realized that, I stopped trying to satisfy what everyone else told me my life was supposed to be like. They're like,
I stopped trying to satisfy what other people think my life is going to be. Nobody can satisfy that besides you. Other people can help you satisfy it, but only you drip dopamine into your ear. Only you drip norepinephrines or whatever those other chemicals in your brain. Only you do it. Only you know what to say. Which Other people may think that it's okay to be sorry or to be helpful or to be there for themselves, but nobody else is doing it besides you. Nobody's stopping you. Nobody's telling you what to do. Nobody's dictating what you want to do. Nobody's doing that besides you. Which what I mean by that is nobody else is going to stop you besides you. That's what I'm implying. That's what he also is implying.
Take vacations. I took my first vacation this year, and it was supposed to be a 2-day vacation, and Layla and I left after one. Because what happened was I got there at this beautiful resort, $5,000 or $10,000 a night, very expensive. And I say that just to say that it was ritzy, right? It was luxurious. I get there, I sit out on the back of this beautiful patio for this really expensive room, and I look out on this, mountain view, and I think to myself, this is beautiful, and I don't care. I wish I felt something.
This is beautiful, but I don't care. That just brings joy to my life because he does not give a flying fuck. Because, yeah, it's a beautiful scenery. But at the end of the day, nobody really gives a flying fuck. Nobody cares. Nobody cares besides you. Which means what he's implying is that he only went for one day. And he saw that it was all beautiful. But at the same time, he didn't give a flying fuck. He would rather be doing his work. I'd rather be doing my work than not be doing nothing at all. Which is why, knowing what you must do. Let's continue.
And all I wanted was to get back in the game. And so I realized that even that little mini vacation was something that I had done because I thought it was an expectation. It was unspoken or spoken from someone else in my life. And so I have this quote that I live by, which is, if you don't know why you believe what you believe,
I just built a budgeting app.
What? How?
Base 44. Look, it pulls all our expenses into one place.
It's not your belief, it's someone else's.
If you don't know why you believe what you believe, it is not your beliefs, it's somebody else. Somebody else is making the journey. Somebody else is making the belief. Somebody is making that there into their own eyes. Because if you don't believe what you want to believe, other people will control your life. Other people will dictate. Other people will say. Other people will do. Other people will think. Other people will act on that way. Because it's their belief. And once they built that belief, it cannot be destroyed besides they destroy it in their very own eyes. I've tried to destroy other people's beliefs, and it didn't get me anywhere, so there was no point at the end of the day.
At that time, it's like I had this belief that I should take a vacation. But why? Now, if I can't explain it, which I really can't, then shouldn't do it. And now I want to be very clear. This doesn't mean that there's no time for rest. But I like to think about the hypothetical extremes. I like to think about the 996 that is just the standard in China. And I like to think about people in the Middle Ages and the Dark Ages. They worked above their shop and they didn't have, like the 7-day or 5-day work week is something that was invented in the last 100 years. This is not pointing to your human capacity. This is pointing to a societal constraint. I think that a truly liberated individual operates purely from first principles of what do I want? What does it take to get it? And then what are the things that hold me back? And those things that hold you back are going to be physical constraints. You can't operate without sleep, not for an extended period of time. So I'm not saying don't sleep. Sleep as much as you can. I'm not saying that you can work physical labor all hours of the day without rest. You need rest. And sometimes you need mental rest, which is different than physical rest. And that's okay. So if you need, and I'm gonna put need in quotes here, if your way of unplugging is watching Netflix, cool. If your way of unplugging is gardening, cool. If your way of unplugging is working out, cool. Do what works for you. But
This is my unplug. This is what I have to do to make this my unplug. I want to make content because it brings me fuel, brings me energy, brings me joy, brings me happiness. This makes me happy. This makes me not want to wait and do the right thing. I want to do this for the betterment of myself.
the goal is to increase total net output over the longest.
Total net output. That is your biggest, baddest goal, is total net output. Whatever net output is for you, it is output for you to know now. Which is why don't allow other people to justify whatever your net output is, because they have no net output.
Of time. And so it's not about, okay, I'm going to work 24 hours straight. Well, you're actually going to take from tomorrow, so your net output over 2 days is going to be much worse. And so it's really balancing that. And I learned that much later in life. I was able to get significantly more out of myself working 7 days a week and working 10 hours, 12 hours on those days, rather than working, call it 18 every day. That was for me a little bit too much. Now, I have had seasons where I call it 3 shifts. So basically I work 6 to noon, noon to 6, and then I work 6 to basically sleep time when I get back home. I only usually have to go into that gear probably once a year for maybe 6 weeks to 8 weeks is when I have to go into the 3rd shift. But most of the times I can pretty much sustain 12 hours of work a day kind of indefinitely. I bring this up to kind of set the bar for at least where I'm at, so maybe you have some sort of benchmark. But if you're wanting to get ahead, I can promise you working less is probably not the way to do it, especially when you don't have as many skills. Because the fewer skills that you have, the more labor or volume you have to compensate with in order to make up for the ineffectiveness per unit of time you work. And so in the beginning is when you actually have to work the most, but in the end is when you want to work the most because of how much more you're getting for it. So my team wanted me to make this point because they've obviously seen me work and they're like, I don't think this is coming through in this video, which is that I have an obsession with speed. This seems kind of weird in juxtaposition with patience, but this is the very classic micro speed, macro patience, you know, whatever ism you prefer. The idea is though that you want to pull reality forward. And so I always like to break things down, whether it's me or my team, into how many hours and minutes something's going to take. And then I like to stack those things back and forth. And rather than using arbitrary deadlines of, okay, let's get this done by next week, you use actual deadlines based on how long it should take. And then when you find out how long something takes, you then ask the next question, which is, how can I make this take less time? How can I automate this thing? How can I automate portions of this work? How can I give away chunks of this? How can I deem some of this unnecessary? And so that continuous cutting and pulling forward of tasks is how you can move so much faster through life and towards your goals. And so I have this weird mental belief that there's like this big path in front of me that I have all these skills that I have to achieve to hit these milestones. That is laid out on this time span. And so I reject the timeline, but I accept the skills. And so the idea is like, okay, it's like I'm a Pac-Man of like eating those little dots, and each of those dots is a skill. It's like I want to pull it towards me as fast as I can so I can ingest the skills and basically power up myself faster. Because I know that these skills are requisites. I can't move on to calculus without knowing arithmetic. I can't move on to calculus without knowing algebra. There's no way around it, but I can choose to learn algebra faster. And so then it's like, okay, what is required to learn algebra? Oh, and if I do more problems faster than the standard person, then I'll get there faster. And so if the class says, okay, I need you to do these 10 problem sets and they're due next week, well then how long does it take for me to do those problems? Maybe 30 minutes. Then why can't I do my second lesson 30 minutes later and then do another 10 problems and do my third lesson 30 minutes after that and do another 10 problems? Well, if that's the case, then I can do an entire year's worth of work in a week. And this is how, in my opinion, pulling forward is one of those things that I've seen so many of the most successful entrepreneurs do, is they simply question timelines aggressively and ruthlessly eliminate any waste or gap between the actions required to win and everything else. Real quick, if you are a business owner and you are not growing as fast, like, I'd like to give you a free gift.